Wow, stories.
I just gave birth to our first son 3 months ago. I know they say not to make any big decisions during the first year, but I'm starting to become concerned that our lack of doing so is hurting us all. I've been feeling in a funk. I feel gross, ugly, and deformed since giving birth. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I did give in at just 3 weeks postpartum to start having intimacy with him again. I do have a high intimacy drive, but I would be lying if it wasn't partially to keep him satisfied. Well, lo and behold, I ended up with a uterine infection. I got the antibiotics, all better for the most part, but I've been getting random yeast infections ever since. A couple of weeks ago, after having intimacy, he noticed that his weenie was a little red, inflamed, and burned a bit. I apologized and was embarrassed, thinking it must have been from my infection. A few more times and nothing happens until today. I had intimacy with him right before leaving for work, and when I got there, I saw a text from him saying, "My weenie is burning again. I need to go get checked and a sexually transmitted disease test." A sexually transmitted disease test? So I asked if he cheated on me, because what? And in response, I got a slew of responses about how, no, I'm the one cheating on him. He can't believe I'm cheating on him. So I called him in disbelief, and he aggressively accuses me of cheating on him. I tell him that not only, of course, would I not, but you get routinely tested multiple times throughout pregnancy if he was concerned it was an old lingering one from a past relationship. He then begins to hyper-focus on why I'm bringing up that time period, basically bringing me into a line of questioning that I can't win. He just knows I'm cheating on him, and he can't believe it. I asked him to take our son to his mom's because his tone was worrying me. I didn't want my son to hear him and become worried. That, too, was highly suspect and exactly what a cheater would say. Meanwhile, I can't believe this is happening. Apparently, the way I went about it was suspicious, and he just wanted reassurance, and my reaction was off. I felt like I couldn't say anything right. I was trying to reassure him, but I felt like I had to defend myself too, which led me to want to know why he would want to be with me if he even thinks I could do something like that. And do I want to be with someone who thinks that way about me? He kept saying that he will know when he gets the results and I won't have to worry. So I told him I don't want to be around him until he gets his results. Go to his mom's. I told him I needed space, which told him everything he needed to know. After a lot more arguing and trying to diffuse, he goes on to tell me he just gets scared based on his past, and that I see him as less than because I pay all of our bills, etc. On top of ongoing drug issues, the last incident was just yesterday with him stealing my Adderall from me again. At least he did go out and buy me a safe once I caught him this time, so I can see why he would be insecure that I'd leave him, I guess. But this just felt so out of line to me. I'm having a hard time dealing with postpartum depression and anxiety about going back to work while leaving my baby. I may have overreacted when I said I needed space apart, but I feel so overwhelmed. I feel like I try so hard because I love him so much. He told me if I was willing to kick him out, that would be it. He wouldn't come back. Basically, he thinks I went about it the wrong way and sounded suspicious, and he deserved reassurance from me without defensiveness. I feel like I should have never had to deal with that in the first place when I do so much for him. I obviously love him. I put up with a lot. He doesn't understand why his accusation was so hurtful to me, even now after we've talked it through. He clearly doesn't see it like I do, mocking me about saying I felt devastated. How should I even feel about this? At least with his other issues, drugs, I can understand that he's not trying to hurt me, and there are other motives. But this feels like an attack on my character. Like, how could he love me if he could think that way of me? Was I wrong to not be more understanding of his past trauma? Is needing a sexually transmitted disease test from your fiancé a normal way of gaining reassurance? I'm so confused and hurt. Is any of this normal postpartum arguing? To add, this gained way more traction than I was expecting. I think at this point, if you can't be kind in your reply, just please don't. This started out feeling like I was getting advice, and now I feel like I'm being bashed. You may think I'm stupid, but there's no reason to say such hateful things about me and my son. I'm not as dumb as you all think. I'm 3 months postpartum with postpartum depression, and am already struggling, which is probably making me act stupid. But there's also way more to our relationship than what's in this post that only focuses on his faults. There's also an insane amount of love, and we're a happy family the majority of the time. We have problems, and I may learn soon that they're too great to overcome or continue to overlook. I came asking for advice. The hate is not necessary, please. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. So he's a lazy bum, addict, thief, manipulator, and now probably a cheater. Does he have any good qualities? You were clean at your pregnancy screenings, so an STD could only have come from him, and he knows it. Turning it around on their partner is a common cheater tactic. Striking preemptively so you'll be defending yourself, and trying to convince him that you never cheated, rather than you getting mad at him and leaving, or so he hopes. Comment 2. So let me get this straight. You're paying the bills, he has drug issues, gives you infections, pressures you into intimacy, mocks your distress, and then engages in gaslighting all within earshot of your child. What is it you love about this man? What is it about this man that makes you think he's a good role model for your child? What do you think you are modeling to your child about a healthy, intimate relationship? Now, for the update. Thank you all for reading my last post and for your advice. So, a week has passed since that whole ordeal, and things have only gotten more complicated. After our argument, he did go to his mom's place, but he didn't stay there long. He came back the next day, saying he missed our son too much and wanted to talk things through. I was hesitant, but I agreed because I thought maybe we could work things out. We sat down and tried to have a calm conversation, but it quickly turned into another argument. He kept insisting that I was hiding something from him, and I kept trying to reassure him that I wasn't. It felt like we were going in circles. Then something unexpected happened. I got a call from my doctor saying that my recent test results showed I had a bacterial infection, which could explain the symptoms we were both experiencing. I thought this would clear things up, but it only made things worse. He accused me of making up the doctor's call to cover my tracks. I even showed him the call log and the message from the doctor, but he was convinced I had somehow faked it. It was like nothing I said or did could change his mind. In the middle of all this, I made a mistake that changed everything. I was so frustrated and desperate to prove my innocence that I decided to go through his phone while he was in the shower. I know it was wrong, but I felt like I had no other choice. What I found shocked me. There were messages from a woman I didn't know, and they were very flirty. When he came out of the shower, I confronted him about it. He got defensive and said she was just a friend from work, but the messages didn't seem innocent to me. This led to another huge fight. He accused me of invading his privacy, and I accused him of cheating on me. It was a mess. He stormed out of the house, saying he needed some space to think. I was left alone with our son, feeling more confused and hurt than ever. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Was he cheating on me? Or was I just being paranoid? Why was he so convinced that I was cheating on him? The next day, he came back and apologized for the messages, saying they were just harmless flirting and that he would stop talking to her if it made me uncomfortable. I wanted to believe him, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. We decided to try and move past it, but things were still tense between us. Then, a few days later, I found out something that changed everything. I was cleaning the house and found a small bag of white powder hidden in his sock drawer. My heart sank. I confronted him about it when he got home, and he admitted that he had relapsed and was using drugs again. He said he was sorry and that he would get help, but I didn't know if I could trust him anymore. This revelation made me question everything. Was his paranoia about me cheating on him just a projection of his own guilt? Was his drug use affecting his behavior and making him more suspicious and irrational? I felt like I was living in a nightmare, and I didn't know how to wake up. In the midst of all this, I started to think about our past and how we got to this point. When we first met, he was charming and attentive. He made me feel special and loved, but there were red flags even then. He had a history of drug use, but he assured me that he was clean and that he was committed to staying that way. I believed him because I wanted to believe in our future together. As time went on, there were other signs that things weren't as perfect as they seemed. He had a tendency to be controlling and jealous, but I brushed it off as him being protective. I thought his insecurities would go away once we built a life together, but they only seemed to get worse, especially after I got pregnant. He became more possessive and paranoid, and I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells around him. Looking back, I realized that I ignored a lot of warning signs because I wanted to believe in our love. I wanted to believe that we could overcome anything together, but now I'm not so sure. I'm starting to see that his issues run deeper than I thought, and I'm not sure if I have the strength to keep fighting for our relationship. The past week has been, well, interesting of emotions. I've been trying to take care of our son while dealing with my own feelings of betrayal and confusion. I've been talking to a therapist to help me sort through everything, but it's still hard. I feel like I'm stuck in a cycle of hope and disappointment, and I don't know how to break free. One thing that has become clear to me is that I need to take care of myself and my son first. I can't keep putting his needs and his issues above my own well-being. I need to set boundaries and make sure that I'm not sacrificing my own happiness for the sake of our relationship. I don't know what the future holds for us. Maybe he will get the help he needs and we can rebuild our relationship. Or maybe it's time for me to move on and focus on creating a stable and healthy environment for our son. All I know is that I can't keep living like this.